So how do I make this go live? Why is this not going live? Oh, it ended for some reason. Okay. Hello.
What? Wow, it's a good thing I wasn't like, I don't know, something bad.
If you were just dancing nude in the background, you mean?
I mean, that's not something I do anyway, but like, I don't know, brushing my teeth or...
I have no idea why they just did that.
So what happened?
I don't know, but...
How long were we live?
30, 45 minutes. Somewhere in there.
Well, I just got here, so I don't know whatever he was doing when I wasn't here, but...
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dangerous Ideas.
Welcome to our awesome intro, which we totally have control over.
It's always more exciting when we don't know that we're live. That's the best time.
Make my chair shorter?
No, I didn't touch your chair.
Okay. I feel like
you've just gotten shorter. Maybe I'm normally more slumped. All right, well, let's get into it. We came firing out of the blocks on all cylinders. That's how I like to go. You know, you ever seen the guy the lion tamer dude? He always walks out and starts mumbling about things, not knowing he's on camera. That's always how he starts the show, isn't it? But we're just gonna chat for a couple of minutes here to start off about Charlie Kirk and what's going on here.
Am I the only person who had never heard of this person until he died?
Possibly.
Taking a survey here.
But it happened while I was on the live stream 2 days ago, so I did mention it, but there was not a lot of information. It was very, very scant on the details. So we obviously know a lot more now, and they appear to have caught someone they say is the shooter as well. What do you know? It's not a leftist, or it's not someone that's, that actively left wing. So it's kind of
it's a Mormon.
Mormons can't be left wing. Never seen it. But yeah, I believe you told me Mike Africa said this white on white crime's got to stop, and it's so true. It's so true. Jr. Sorry, Mike Africa Jr. It's so true. But one of the things that
funny how that headline you won't see anywhere.
I always love during these times when someone has been shot, killed, attacked, all of those things, is people go, "This is not who we are." It's like, no, it totally is. This is who we are. Like, our country is, for a long time now, has been shooting, killing, murdering. Most of the time, it's people overseas. So you'll notice that the white people in suburbia don't yell, "This is not who we are," when it's just bombs murdering Palestinians at epic numbers every single fucking day. That's fine. That's who we are. But when it's white on white crime here in the US, that's not who we are.
Well, especially conservative. Like if an anarchist gets murdered, or, someone at an anti-Nazi rally gets run over by a lunatic in a car, nobody in corporate media or the halls of the mighty shed any tears. But the governor of Utah legit said in a press conference that I had been praying that it was someone from another country. He legit said that. So, because he didn't want it to be, in his own words, one of our own. Now, leaving aside the fact that everyone that's one of your own is originally from another country because you're not indigenous, but that's a separate conversation. But this just is that classic trope of what you're talking about, Lee. This isn't who we are, right? When in fact, it is absolutely who we are. And as I mean, this is a great, I'm not good at brevity, but this was a tweet by Land Palestine. "I'm not in support of what happened to Charlie Kirk, but Charlie Kirk was in support of what happened to Charlie Kirk." Dude had pointed out in several different, and in fact, when he was shot, he was talking about guns and, the not being in favor of any kind of gun legislation when he was shot. So Here's the thing. This is who we are. Charlie Kirk is as, I don't know, whatever these white supremacist nationalists want to say is homegrown. Like, this guy is homegrown. And the guy who shot him is also homegrown in terms of the American exceptionalism paradigm. So this is, once again, an example of this is so us. This is so us.
Well, and also from day one of this country, we showed up and there were people like here and gardening and things, and we shot them in the face. Like, talk about who we are. We showed up with guns and said, I know how we can have more room here. We'll just clear people out. So yeah, it really is. We're the land of the Wild West, where if someone took your bar stool, you shot them in the face. Like, this is not who we are, is just so laughable. We're also, it's not always killing, but we're also one of the largest prison states in the world, the largest police state. Well, it's destroying lives, but police states in the world. Our police shoot and kill more people than any other country in the world. It's 1,500 a year killed by our police, but it's actually double that because, the Lancet Medical Journal found that half of all police killings are not actually put down as police killings. So, yeah, it's endless. Two kids were killed during a mass shooting on that same day.
They weren't killed. The shooter shot himself. 2 kids were injured, but still.
I don't care. I'm going to still say 2 kids were killed that same day.
But the fact that
do not correct me. If I spout bullshit, you leave it be.
But the fact that doesn't even, the fact that isn't front page news is, again, very the US. The fact that there was a 16-year-old who walked into his high school with guns blazing, and that didn't make front page news because of this douche canoe who got shot in the neck. That is so the US.
Well, and this is how much this has been going on in the US. I mean, I was trying to think. I was like, so I guess there's been more political or corporate leaders, kind of like the ruling elite of America, which I would put, Charlie Kirk is fringe and pivotal in Trump's, process. And systems. So I would put him in the ruling elite in that way. And so there's been more of this violence against the ruling elite, but there's so much going on that when I listed them, and I was like, I can think of like 4 or 5 instances in the past year, including the attempts on Trump. And literally, I had forgotten that 3 months ago, the Speaker of the House in Minnesota was murdered. Like, that's how bad this system is, that we're like, what do you mean? There's been political violence before? Yeah, Nancy Pelosi's husband was like tied up and beaten with a hammer. That was a year or 2 ago. Like, it is amazing what's going on in this country, and people, this is not who we are.
Well, and also, I mean, I think more details might surface about who this kid is who shot Kirk, but
we're old folks. We get to call anyone under 27 kids.
Yes. But so far, the statement that he's given is, I didn't like him. So this is according to not just him, but a lot of people, because there's literally a mass shooting every single day in the United States. This is an acceptable way to address not liking someone. And so that is not only who we are, but it is a really twisted idea of a democracy where we have open debate about ideas. And indeed, Kirk, and I wanted to get into this because this really bugs me that not a lot of people are talking about this. And I hope y'all come here to just see things that not everybody else is talking about.
I know. I hesitated to even do a segment on this story because it is so overly covered. But no, I know. But I'm giving you a compliment. You and I spent time on the aspects that are not in the mainstream. So I was like, well, let's talk about those. We don't need to talk about the.
So this guy had made a career out of going to universities and colleges and sitting behind a banner that says change my mind and basically picking fights with college students. Now, the way that he framed it was that, oh, I want to have these open political debates with people. And, I want to show them that their arguments for liberalism or whatever the hell are wrong. And I do that by having these open debates because I love America or whatever the hell he said. So here's the problem with that. It's not. That's not at all what it is. It's a masturbatory political event where he has no interest in hearing your perspective. He has zero interest in trying to understand who you are, where you come from, why you think the way that you do. He is there to try and foist his ideology onto you. And if you don't accept it, he'll try to force it. And if you still don't, then you are scum. You are the worst of the worst, and you're destroying America. That is not somebody who's open to political debate. So even just the way that his entire career has been framed is bullshit. It is absolute bullshit. And here's the thing. We do need open political debate. But at a time when, in particular, universities and colleges are seeing kids basically be violently arrested for daring to hold a Palestinian flag, don't you fucking dare come to me and say that, oh, colleges are the place for open political debate because of what people like Charlie Kirk are doing, who applauded the murder of Palestinian children. Do not even come to me and say that shit. So his whole thing was just a facade. It was bullshit. The whole thing was just to try and push people to the right because he knew that college campuses, having historically been places of open debate, though they're not anymore, that these are places where the leftist ideologies tend to take root. And oh my God, if they're getting to the kids, what are we going to do? And so you see this back in the 60s too, where they, shot people this is 70s, where they shot people at Kent State and murdered four kids for daring to stand up against the Vietnam War. So you see that this is repetitive, right? And they know that college campuses are where these leftist ideologies and where people start to question the system that they're in and say, well, this doesn't seem right. I'm interacting with people that I didn't know before, with perspectives and cultural backgrounds that I didn't know before. So maybe this rah-rah American exceptionalism bullshit is in fact bullshit. And so Kirk and his ilk knew that. So where better to go with their bullshit, I'm just open for political debate, than to college campuses.
And also, I'm sorry.
Okay.
There was a deep breath, so then I figured it was probably something big.
I still gotta breathe.
Well,
I'm not a mermaid.
Yeah, but I figured it was a big point, No, I was going to say that also I've always found it interesting that these people like him, people like Giannis Papadopoulos, these people that are far right-wing lunatics, somehow they're booked and allowed on college campuses to have events on college campuses, yet literally I, who used to, before I was political or very political, had a very large college touring career. I performed at 100 different colleges a year for about 6 years. But this is when I was doing stand-up comedy in my early 20s that was almost not political or mostly not political. And then the moment that politics or being left-wing or having any kind of deeper sentiment to my comedy, to my speech was connected to what I was doing, those all were gone. And they were gone pretty instantaneously. It started a little bit when I just was injecting politics into my stand-up, and then it really ended when I went on Fox News and called them a parade of propaganda and a festival of ignorance, and these college booking groups would Google me, that would come up, and they'd instantly, even if they were fine with that, even if they agreed with me, they'd think, well, we don't want to alienate anyone, we don't want to upset anyone, so we're not bringing that guy. And of course, within a year, all of my college touring was gone. Meanwhile, you can apparently be a deep and open racist and shitbag, and colleges are like, come on over, you're just right for us.
Because that's who we are.
Because that's who we are. Yes. Well, I like putting a bow on it. Yeah, put the bow on it. Boop. Nice. And scene. Good night. And I turn it off. I just close the laptop.
Well, considering your amazing start, I don't think many people.
I think that would be a fitting end to the podcast. But we have more stories coming up. Please click thumbs up, click share, And I wanted to get to, can we talk about Bolsanaro?
Sure.
Bolsonaro has been convicted. They decided to do in Brazil very different than what we did here in the U.S., which was to make our lunatic fringe maniac sociopath. I mean, that's all our presidents, but this one particularly, maybe. Make him president again is what we did. In Brazil, they actually sentenced Bolsonaro to 27 years for his coup plot, and it was a coup plot. Brazil's Supreme Court has sentenced former President Jair Bolsonaro to 27 years and 3 months. Oh, tack on that 3 months. That's going to hurt. In prison for attempting a coup to stay in power after losing the 2022 election. And Trump is a big Bolsonaro fan. He, of course, hates Lula. And it was a U.S. advised, we won't call it a U.S. led, but a U.S. advised coup that actually put Lula in prison the first time around. False charges against Lula, getting him locked up, which meant that he couldn't run for president or couldn't easily run for president. So we are the ones who installed Bolsonaro to begin with. And of course, Bolsonaro, a clear racist, nationalist fuck show. And he, just encouraged killing indigenous people, encouraged deforestation of the Amazon, everything else. And they've actually taken a different path in the United States and put him in prison. Seems like not a bad choice.
Not at all. A leftist also won in Argentina.
There was a big leftist. Let's see. Do I have it? Oh, I have it here. Look at me. Look at me producing the show. Fucking hero over here. There was a big leftist surge in Argentina. This does not mean Milei is no longer president because it was not a presidential election, but basically his party lost in a landslide. He is.
I mean, does he not look like he looks like he's doing like a Charles Dickens Christmas special? Doesn't he?
Yeah,
what is that?
It looks like Liberace didn't brush his teeth for 10 years, maybe.
I just feel like I'm not understanding okay, whatever.
Yeah, no, I'm not clear on what that look is. But anyway, another person that Trump and Elon Musk are huge fans of, fucking love the guy. And he is really showing Americans what the United States could be if a true libertarian had, far right wing, whatever he calls himself, had more control and could gut things even more than they already have. Over 50% of Argentinians have been forced into poverty. So yeah, it's been pretty gut wrenching to those in Argentina. And anyway, resounding defeat, but not at the presidential level. I think the presidential election is 2027. So.
But we take the good news where we can find it.
Yeah, no, you gotta enjoy the little things, don't you? Okay. You want to get to the ice raid? Don't look there. Just answer.
Oh, wait, which one?
I thought you had something out about the Hyundai ice raid.
Oh, I thought you said you already covered that.
No, I didn't say I covered it. I said it happened 4 days ago.
Oh, sure.
What is open there? We produced this show just within an inch of its life. This thing is produced.
This is the Supreme Court allows ICE to resume its worst practices.
All right, let's do that.
So it's ICE related. I can still do the Hyundai thing.
Let's do whatever you want to do right now. Go.
Sheesh. Okay. Well, now I don't know where that other Hyundai story is. But
just do this story.
Okay. Sheesh. So this is also from a few days ago. But the U.S. Supreme Court, in its infinite wisdom, and being such a democratic institution, of course, because they're totally accountable to the people.
Yes, even though they're in office or whatever, it's not called office, position forever. Forevers. And what's going to happen when we're probably like legitimately 30, 40 years away from they can put a chip in your brain and you live to 300? Are we going to keep them in the seat? Are they going to stay Supreme Court justices for like ever?
Yeah. So the Supreme Court on Monday gave its approval for ICE agents to stop and detain anyone in the LA area, which I'm sure it's just going to be localized to LA, based on factors including, quote, the type of work one does, a person's use of Spanish or accented English, or their apparent race or ethnicity.
Wait. They can stop and detain someone for a slight accent
Yes.
in their English?
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
That's fucking nuts.
Which, here's the thing. This was one of those things where, like,
you're not from around here, are you, boy?
Where we all knew that this was in practice, and then the Supreme Court was like, but actually, yeah, that's who we are, and I'm putting it in writing now. So, and guess what? Sotomayor was like the only one who dissented. So that's as per usual.
Sotomayor, because she'd be pulled over and detained just for her last name.
I should say there were 3 who dissented, but she wrote a dissenting opinion. Now, the Brett Kavanaugh, who wrote an opinion expressing agreement with the ruling, says that this was just allowing immigration agents to use common sense criteria for stopping and detaining people, including, again, their English proficiency and the type of work that they do. So, yeah. I mean, again, file it under, like, we already knew that this was how they operated, but now they literally have, like, a letter from the Supreme Court saying we can do this and there's nothing you can do about it. So the reason that this matters is because previously, the ACLU or whoever it is can fight these kind of egregious fascistic tactics by saying, this is a horrific violation of somebody's basic rights. Now, what's their argument? Because the Supreme Court just said that's totally fine. That's totally fine. So
basically, if you live here and you use a slightly accented English, you have no rights. That's the end of your rights.
But let's be clear here. Nobody's going to be going after my mother, who has a Swedish accent.
Yeah.
Nobody's going after, your friend's mom, who's from England and has a British accent.
Sometimes I got a bit of an accent. If I've been drinking, it'll come out sometimes,
when my dad's mad, he goes like into full Brooklyn. It's pretty funny. But yeah, nobody's going after those accents, right? So when they say accents, it's very specific, right?
And I will say this, like, how am I supposed to say all y'all? Because it means something very specific, all y'all. So what else? There's nothing, it's got to be all y'all.
I agree.
What else? All yous guys?
You'd have to ask somebody from Jersey what they would say.
What would you say?
Well, I'm from North Carolina, so I say all y'all. Duh. I'm from further south than you are, my dear Virginia friend.
You realize everybody watching right now is trying to do the math. Her mother's Swedish. Her father's Brooklyn. She's from North. What the fuck is
It's called being American.
I know.
Where like nobody's actually from here except the people that are from here, who are the people who managed to avoid being eradicated when the people who landed here, including your relatives, eradicated 98% of the human beings that lived here so much that it altered the climate of the world. Yeah. America.
Didn't mean to set you off, but okay. Yeah, there was also a massive raid at a Hyundai plant, 500 people arrested, and they were Koreans as well, which is now we're just going after anybody's not white.
They had just
white Western white.
So they had just. Here's the interesting thing: is that the South Korean government had recently agreed to invest hundreds of billions of dollars in the U.S. in exchange for lower tariffs. So this raid in Georgia at this Hyundai plant happened right after that happened. Right after that happened. I
think talking about Southern accents, man. Right after that happened. I couldn't believe what happened.
Right after that there happened.
Right after that happened. Bless their heart.
Okay. That's my accent.
So this was a fuck you for agreeing to the tariffs, is what you're saying.
Yes, it's like they did that. They did the thing. They went along with your stupid fucking idea, and then your response is to do the largest ever single site immigration raid in U.S. history. That's how you respond. Now,
I think it's because it was Hyundai, so they were like fucking Japanese. Like it's because they're Trump's going after anything that's not American.
Well, Hyundai's Korean.
Is Hyundai Korean? Okay.
Hence the.
I
isn't it?
just thought they had Korean workers. I didn't know. I thought.
Whoa. Mm,
Distinctly Korean, it says.
oh, okay.
But its DNA is distinctly Korean, whatever that means. God, that's kind of
Cars
creepy.
don't. Okay.
Yeah, that
Let's
was really
just stop
that was
right
really
there, everyone.
eugenicsy right there.
Yeah, the blood quantum tells us. So, but here's the thing. So, out of the 500, well, nearly 500 were detained and arrested. 475 people put in chains, and so 300 of them are South Korean and have like appropriate work permits. So that's the other thing, is that they're going after, and not that I think that there should be a distinction, but they're going after people not only that have work permits, but that are part of a larger deal that the US government made with their home country. And so what happened was that actually South Korean politicians actually charted flights to get these Koreans chartered, sorry, to get these Koreans out of ICE detention. Now, my question is, so 300 of them are South Korean. What about the 175 who aren't? I guess they're still disappeared in some ICE detention center come concentration camp. So I don't have any information about that. I tried to find information, but I couldn't, which is also who we are.
We're pretty good at disappearing people.
Yeah. So this is, I mean, like, if you're heartless, that you shouldn't like this just because it's really bad for US-Korea relations and obviously the economy. But if you have a soul, you should also be like, I'm sorry, 475 people were put in chains just because they're Korean and not American enough for
and
you.
Trump also said he wants to intern immigrants at the biggest Japanese internment camp, some military base.
It's called Fort Bliss.
That's right, Fort Bliss.
How could you forget
I had
that,
forgotten. Yeah, I don't know.
former.
You know what it is? We're in such a dystopia that things like that don't even register anymore. It's so horrific. All right, I want to get to Trump's personal army, and I also want to parse: is this an overreaction? Because it doesn't sound like it's definitely not a good thing. It's definitely not okay, but is it maybe an overreaction to act like this is, the final step in the fascist state? Trump's is from Democracy Now! Trump's personal army. There's an executive order to create a quick reaction force, and it's raising a lot of alarm. They say so, but they start off with some other things that have gone down. A federal judge ruled Trump acted illegally when he sent National Guard troops to Los Angeles, but he's still vowing to send troops to Chicago and other Democrat-led cities. Meanwhile, Trump's emergency order that federalized the police force of Washington, D.C., and sent in National Guard troops and the FBI expired Wednesday. But at least 150 military police will patrol the nation's capital until at least the end of November, which, of course, is hysterical, as if these National Guard did anything in D.C. Over the course of whatever it was, 2 months or less. Oh, yeah, everything's changed. I made fun. On the last live stream, I made a lot of fun of Trump going to the highest-end steak restaurant that I used to work next to when I hosted Redacted Tonight, and saying, look, there's no crime here in this $70 a plate steak restaurant.
Dude, 70 at least. It's like walking into a Ritz-Carlton and being like, well, it's very peaceful here. I want you to know.
The lobby of the Ritz-Carlton hasn't seen any crime in 2 months,
except for the people on their phones doing insider trading,
doing hedge fund,
dropping bombs via app.
That's true. Anyway, they say this comes as Trump signed a new executive order last month that directs Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to, quote, ensure the availability of a standing National Guard quick reaction force that shall be resource trained and available for rapid nationwide deployment. And this is Trump's had a long-standing fetish, hard-on, for having kind of his own police force, his own military, like not overseas, but like sitting there ready to at his whim. He's wanted that. He wanted that in the first term. And anyway, to continue, this is from a journalist they interviewed. We've long had a norm or an ethos in this country of keeping the military separate from domestic law enforcement. Trump is slowly eating away at that and creating a new norm where it's just sort of accepted that this is just going to be part of our country now. We're going to have troops in the streets. I got it. Because I don't want you to take my point before. Okay. Pete Hegseth asking him to oversee this project, to oversee the staffing, the training, the general oversight, and presumably he would be coming up with the rules of engagement for these forces. He defends war criminals. He's a lunatic. He doesn't believe war crimes are real or should be prosecuted. I mean, neither does Trump with any of these. This is a person who wrote in his book that the military should be enlisted in a holy war. Yeah, so these are all lunatics, but the idea that our ruling elite have not already had their own army at the push of a button, anytime the people in this country stand up and fight back, what do you see? You see thousands of jackbooted, all-black riot thugs showing up and attacking people without weapons, meaning the people they're attacking don't have weapons, unarmed people. So the idea that they're it can make it worse. Like you could have troops firing guns more easily, I suppose. But the idea that the ruling elite have not had their own army in this, that's what the fucking police force is. It is the army of the ruling elite. So.
I'd also just like to point out that he is incorrect, or she, I'm sorry, I don't know who this person is.
It's a male journalist.
Okay. That he's wrong when he says, and I get the point he's trying to make, that the police and the military have been separate, but no. A quick internet search suggests that somewhere between 19 and 25% of US police officers have prior military service. Now, this is, you could also argue that this is relatively new because we've been at war now for, current, like the latest rendition for the past 25 some years, and veterans coming home are pulled into are pulled into working for the police.
Thank you. That's one of my pet peeves.
I know. Because of a similar structure, right? The discipline, the extreme hierarchy, right? The yes sir, no sir, whatever the hell. The training, right? Look at Cop City. The IDF shares this training facility, right?
Yeah,
so the and the 1033 program that gives cops military equipment. So the idea that these are, or have been until now, like until Trump came around, separate entities is actually not accurate. And it's problematic because, again, I'm not saying that Trump hasn't escalated shit and made things worse. I'm very aware of this, but it makes it sound like he just did all of this. And he woke up one day and he was like, military and police will have no distinction. And it's like, but they already didn't, okay? They already didn't.
But and even if they did have it, let's say there was no 1033 program, you'd still have militarized police walking the streets. Like you'd still have the largest prison system in the world. You'd still be grabbing 1 out of every 3 black men in this country at some point and putting them in prison. So it's like, even if there were that clear line, it's the cops are an army. Like.
Well, and yes, like the NYPD gets more money per year than North Korea's military. So, but again, going back,
the NYPD might have nukes, honestly.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised. But like going back to who we are, this is a culture, right? It's a culture of violence. It's a culture of violent control that, the police are descended, in terms of their legacy, are descended from slave patrols. So this is a very American legacy of extremist, racist, white nationalist violence that permeates both the military and the police. So again, to suggest that they're separate is to kind of feel like there's this distinction that doesn't exist, and it's to not really understand either current or historical aspects of both the police and the military, to my mind.
I think those are all great points, and the fact that Democracy Now! Didn't add that into their interview, I think, is a little bit of the problem with Democracy Now! I think they do some good work, and I think sometimes they miss a little something.
Well, and I'm sure his point. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm sure his
Well,
points are
he's
good.
saying it's a dangerous step, and I
Yes,
agree. You can
I agree
always
with
make
that.
things worse. Like things can always be worse. Things are always on a spectrum.
Well, and actually, there was an interesting interview with. Now, of course, I can't find it, but there was an interesting interview with a veteran about ways to approach, National Guard or whatever, and like if you are going to do this, no, I'm not saying everyone should, but if you're going to approach them and talk to them about what they actually feel their role is, like in your city and in this country. So his point was that a lot of veterans are unclear about basically like that oath that they took to defend the U.S. from all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to follow orders unless, I can't remember the exact wording, but unless they go against either legal or moral constraints. And what a lot of what Trump is doing is in fact illegal, as you've just pointed out with these judges saying this and that. But of course, Trump doesn't care because he's already been sued 400 times in the past like 5 years. So these are interesting inroads for people to speak to national. And again, I'm not saying that this is something that everybody should do, but I thought it was an interesting article because this speaks to that actual like political discourse and the idea of, like I know that Mike Preisner, for instance, has a podcast called Eyes Left, and he says that he's always open to speak to service members who are military that are currently serving,
to talk them out of it or thinking of joining.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that that's really powerful because we should always leave the door open. And I talked about this after Trump was elected. We should always leave the door open for people to change their minds. Right now, that doesn't mean that we necessarily like negotiate with Nazis or whatever. Right. There are red lines to which we don't cross. And those are different for everybody based on their experience, based on their backgrounds and their identities and things like that. But we should always leave the door open for people to change their minds. So one tactic can be and should be to, try to put out a little gangplank here to not a gangplank. That's where you jump off, but a plank of wood where they can cross over, over from the dark side.
How about like a tightrope? Like they could like a tightrope.
Well, that sounds terrifying. I want nothing to do with that.
Oh, okay.
If like a little exit ramp from the Death Star to your little.
So it was an exit ramp, but it was a plank over the gap before. Now it's an exit ramp.
You know what?
I think
workshop the exact
someone else,
structure.
Some other architect should come up with the plans for this because it's getting ugly.
I have the vision. I just don't have the architecture.
It seems like an M.C. Escher painting.
So somebody else
connecting in on itself
to draw this out. I'm not a visual person.
Some in the chat are offering the word bridge.
That's good. I like bridge.
Bridge
exit
might
ramp
work.
is kind of a bridge. A ramp thingy. See, you self-care Maven knows what I'm talking about.
Thank you, Plant Rocker, for supporting the show. I do not frown upon super chats. Plant Rocker says NYPD actually stands for nuking your private domiciles. We will not be harassed. Thank you, Plant Rocker, for supporting the show. You can also support the show by joining up at leecamp.net. Oh, yeah, I should let everybody know. Again, I'm giving away a free month. Everybody should do this. Just you support the show. It's free. Why not? Join up. Go to leecamp.net. Scroll down to become a supporter. When you go to checkout, put in promo code LeeCampFree. One word, all caps. LeeCampFree. Get a free month. I'll also send you my newer ebook, Dangerous Ideas. All that for free. And you can cancel after the free month and never pay a dime. So hope you'll do that. The other thing I have to announce, before I do that, can you let people know about your podcast, where to catch it?
Sure. So it's a podcast that I co-host with Mickey Huff. It's called Project Censored, and you can find it wherever you listen to podcasts. It's also at projectcensored.org and on a bunch of Pacifica radio stations if you happen to listen to terrestrial radio. So yeah, check that out. And all of my stuff is also at artkillingapathy.com.
Yeah, I'm sorry, this is so big, but leecamp.net. The code is LeeCampFree. I don't know if I said free LeeCamp, which would be silly, but LeeCampFree. But I also have to announce that I am now somehow ended up becoming the moderator of an event in New York City, October 9th. Hold on, I'm going to put it on the screen. Why are you laughing?
Because you always announce things like, I
didn't do that.
It's so cool.
I didn't do
Oh my
that.
God.
I did not do that.
That's
That's not what I said. That's not what I said. All right, you do it though.
This is so fucking cool, you guys. Lee is going to be the moderator for this badass panel, including Richard Wolff, Chris Hedges, and Cornell West. Also Laura Flanders. I'm not really sure why, but those three guys, and then Laura, who's kind of a liberal, but that's the separate story. So, but Lee is going to be moderating this badass panel at in New York,
Left
at the
Forum.
Left Forum in New York on October 9th. It's so cool. That's how you do.
Thank you. You nailed it.
You
did it. Okay, all right, fine. Everybody go to this fucking show.
Thank
fucking
you.
pansies.
Thank you.
October 9th, 6 to 8 p.m. I want to make it clear that I am receiving no payment for this, and I did not set up this show. So I know it's expensive, and it's really, I was added at the last minute. So please don't, I have no way to give free tickets. You know, normally if it's my show, then if someone's struggling financially, I can get you guys free tickets. I have no connection to any of this, but except for moderating it. But I'd love to see you there anyway. And I can get you 20% off with a code that I'm going to get right now.
So you can offer a code.
Yeah, I can't offer free though. So I'm going to put the link in the Eventbrite link in the comments. Also, I think you can find it just by going to Left Forum's website and clicking on events. And if you're looking at the screen, there's a QR code at the top there. October 9th, 6 to 8 p.m., New York City. It's a hell of a stacked show. And you can use, let's see. Okay, sorry. Promo code unredacted, all caps. Promo code unredacted, all caps. And I'm going to put the Eventbrite link in the comments. So you can also just go there. And the other thing is to go to Left Forum website and find it under the events, and then use promo code for 25% off. Promo code unredacted, all caps. Yes, Eleanor. I'm calling on Eleanor.
So I know that some people have feelings about Cornell West or Chris Hedges, or Laura Flanders. So do I. But I think that it's important, especially now, to not engage in the circular firing squad. And I don't say that just for this event. I say that for any event, any organizing. Just like I was talking about, like, give people a way to change their minds. Give yourself a break and don't demand that people agree with you on everything. Also, that would be very creepy in a very boring world. So I don't agree with these folks on everything, but I especially Richard Wolff, I really love him and really appreciate what he does so much. I don't really have a relationship with Hedges or Cornell, but I appreciate so much what they've done and what they do.
She knows Lee Camp, not a fan, but she's willing to go to this event anyway.
I'm willing to give Lee
a
an
chance.
Exit ramp bridge thingy.
Exit ramp bridge, circular
lamp,
hamster wheel.
Thingy.
Well,
I'm just saying. So yeah, let's put down the circular firing squad idea, and just, even if I'm not just talking about this event, I'm talking about, like, in general, like, we got to embrace disagreeing with people on some things and not have it be like I never fucking talking about this person again.
Also, it's just such a benefit to the far right or to right wing in general.
Seriously.
That they can agree on one thing. Like, let's say they agree that ethnic cleansing in Gaza is just fucking awesome. And then they'll all get together and just agree and just work together on it because they agree on that one thing. Doesn't matter how many other things they disagree on. They could disagree violently on other topics. They'll be like, yeah, but we agree on we got to get the black people. Like, whatever it is, they'll work together. Whereas it's usually the left where it's the reverse. It's like, I agree with you on 98% of everything, but on that 2%, you can go fuck yourself. And therefore, I will never work with you on anything. And in fact, I will try and get into chats when you're speaking online to make sure everyone knows that you're a piece of dog shit. Like,
it's like, it's so much energy.
And nothing works better for tearing apart, movements.
Take up, like, knitting or something instead. You know?
See, that's the problem. I disagree with them on knitting, and that really makes me angry.
So now I've stabbed them with a knitting needle.
Yes. Okay, let's get to some Israel topics. Sound good?
Sure.
All right. And in a moment, we're going to get to the latest gag-worthy thing that Jerry Seinfeld has said. Okay.
Now, there's an example of someone that you can just cancel.
Oh no, there can
and
be.
tell them to go F themselves.
I didn't want to get into the weeds on it, but there can be red lines.
There are, yeah, exactly.
Well, there are red lines. That's what I'm saying. Is like, and normally, if I go into my longer tirade, it's like, yes, if someone, like I've said about Joe Biden, it's like, he's pro-genocide. He helped create the genocide in Gaza. It continued under his watch. I will not vote for someone who's pro-genocide. Red line, done, over. Right. I don't need to know his other positions. I mean, I do know his other positions, but I don't need to, because that is a red line. You can have a red line, but perhaps knitting doesn't need to be the red line. Okay. So I've done segments. I did one on Every Night about how, and on here about Skydance is Larry Ellison's media empire. Skydance has just bought Paramount, which owns CBS and Viacom. And Larry Ellison is the just became the first richest person in the world. The richest person in the world with $400 billion. Don't try to process that. Blood will spurt out your ears. Richest person in the world and the largest private funder of the IDF. He is a genocide lover. And he's funding it. And he now runs and owns, he and his son, Paramount, CBS, Viacom, all of it. And they're putting Barry Weiss, the genocide denier, genocide lover, in as the head of CBS. But anyway, this is a new exclusive. The new owner of CBS coordinated with former Israeli military chief to counter the country's critics, according to leaked emails. And this goes all the way back to 2015. A widely noted data set of purported leaked emails from former Israeli Minister of Defense, Benjamin Gantz, appears to show that David Ellison, the new head of, that's Larry Ellison's son, new head of Paramount, was coordinating with the recently retired commander-in-chief of the Israeli military on a nascent campaign to sabotage critics of Israeli military's activities in Palestine.
This is the guy that you want running a media.
Yes, this is absolutely the sociopath you want running the media. The previously unreported emails appear to show David Ellison being recruited in December 2015. This is way pre-October 7th. 2015 as a core American supporter of the Israeli government effort, which Gantz labeled the Counter BDS Initiative. The original concept of the program.
Have a counter. I know. It's just Israel existing.
I know, but this is but this is getting even worse. Where
I know.
Where they're tracking. They've got an intelligence firm tracking activists, all kinds of shit. The original concept of the program, according to leaked emails, was to raise $1 million each from 12 prominent Jewish philanthropists in order to fund state-of-the-art cyber technology as a soft weapon and to contract a controversial private intelligence firm, Black Cube, to spy on and disrupt activists. Like literally like the creepy van following you down the street. That's what this would be. Like full-on following BDS activists. Truly horrific. And the New York Times further reported that David Ellison is considering putting Barry Weiss in as the head of CBS News. They also want to pay her $100 million or more for her anti-woke media outlet, The Free Press, which is basically a glorified Substack. And they want to pay her somewhere between $100 to $200 million for it. Yeah. So our media just keeps, what I'm saying is, keeps getting better and better.
Yep.
Better and better every day.
The butt scoot towards fascism is really, really elegant.
It's also kind of funny because our media was already aggressively pro-Israel. Mm-hmm. Like you'll find an occasional segment here or there about the starvation in Gaza, about death in Gaza, but all of these things started months after it was already going on. And for the first many months of Israel's genocide, our media basically didn't cover it at all, or would cover it from but look at what happened to poor Israel.
Well, and they'd have on, nobody's having on Palestinian journalists who are on the ground in Gaza, literally getting murdered for their coverage, they'd have on some IDF douche canoe talking about, well, our objective is, and it's like, what the fuck? It's like asking the SS, like, well, what's really your objective here? It's like,
yeah. Anyway, it keeps getting worse with these two. And, there's so many levels to how disgusting it is. It's like, also, we just shouldn't have people with $400 billion. Because when you have that much, when you have that much money, buying Paramount, CBS, Viacom, basically a third of our entire media landscape, it's like you or I considering buying a bicycle. It's like, well, a couple $100, but that's all it is. It is nothing more than that for him. It is a tiny little fraction of his net worth. So while we're on the topic of Israel, let's get to Jerry Seinfeld's latest awesome comments. And this goes under the topic of never meet your heroes. Because Seinfeld was a hero of mine when I was 12 to early 20s. And at that time, I wanted to be a stand-up comic without any politics in it. And he had no politics. In fact, he never even commented on a single political thing until now. He waited until a genocide was happening to come out in favor of genocide and to have any kind of political stance. Jerry Seinfeld compares the Free Palestine movement to the KKK. Seinfeld denounced the Free Palestine movement as anti-Semitic and likened it to rhetoric that the KKK during a surprise appearance at Duke University.
Surprise appearance?
Meaning that students didn't know he was arriving. Not that he was surprised by it.
No.
What? Where am I?
No, I get it, but okay.
He was introducing something at their whatever big ceremony. I don't know.
Did anybody interrupt him?
Yeah, I think some people started chanting Free Palestine.
Okay, good.
And he always gets super offended and yells at them for being like Nazis because they chant Free Palestine at his shows now. And anyway, he said, Free Palestine is, to me, you're free to say you don't like Jews. So this is this ongoing thing that him and several other people have been trying to switch it so that anytime you say Free Palestine, it means I don't like Jews. Now, of course, coming from Jews, that is fucking stupid. It's ridiculous. And it's just a way of sidelining, ending the debate. There are, as we've said many times, there are more Zionist Christians in America than there are Jews in the world. So it's just an idiot statement.
Well, and it's also just, it is ahistorical. Jews and Muslims have fought Christians together for hundreds and hundreds of years since the advent, basically, of Islam. Muslims and Jews have been on the receiving end of a lot of violence from Christians. They have worked together in places like Al-Andalus in southern Spain to build these amazingly vibrant cultures. So it's ahistorical, first of all, but but more importantly, it frames the issue in Palestine as one of, we just can't figure it out because they hate Jews. When, first of all, there are Palestinian Jews, so it erases them. The second thing is that it's actually not a religious problem. It's a settler colonial problem, okay? And by framing it as a religious issue, it makes it seem intractable, like, they're just going to always hate each other because their religion, when in fact, it's a settler colonial problem, and it has a very simple solution. So by framing it this way, you are basically suggesting that it can never be fixed and that Israel has to exist forever because everyone hates Jews, which is dumb.
Yeah. So he wants people to connect saying Free Palestine with essentially saying, I hate Jews, which is absolutely not the truth. And anyway, he says, Free Palestine is, to me, like, you're free to say you don't like Jews. Just say you don't like Jews. That's what he says. He says, by saying Free Palestine, you're not admitting what you really think, which is bullshit. He says, so it's actually, compared to the KKK, I'm actually thinking the Klan is actually better here because they come right out and say what they believe. It's so fucking repulsive. But, beyond that, he has donated to Israeli politicians, to anti-BDS efforts. He took his family on the terror tour, the IDF. I think we call it terrorist tourism, but the IDF tourism thing where you pay a few $1,000s and you get to like train with the IDF. He took his family on that, and it's also so funny because this is a guy who is vehemently avoided all politics. He's done the opposite of what I did with my comedy career, which was I was like, these things are too important. I'm talking about all these things. He was like, these things are not important at all. I'm not talking about any of them. I'm just going to talk about how your dog licks his butthole. That is it. And that has been his whole career. And for a while, as a teenager, I liked that or respected it or whatever, thought, okay, stand-up comedy. You don't have to be political. And yet here he is, finally becoming political in the most disgusting way. And he's just shocked that people at his shows or people are buying tickets at his shows to stand up and chant Free Palestine, which, yeah, it'd be nice if you could just have a show. But the funny thing is when you endorse genocide that's been going on for 2 years, people get upset for some odd reason. I don't know what's going on, man. Why? Why are they getting so upset?
I mean, of course, he would never admit this, and I don't even know if he's smart enough to understand this concept, but all art is political because all art is commenting either passively or actively on the current situation. And so if you're making art that's just talking about, I don't know, whatever, Ovaltine, whatever, on like observational things like that, you are basically saying, I have no problem with the status quo. The status quo does not bother me because you can't be bothered by something that you don't care about. So he doesn't care about the issues that are facing other people because he has it fine. He has it great. He's a rich celebrity. Everything is just good for him. And so why comment on the political issues? Why bring that into my artwork? So really, all art is political. It's whether you're passively accepting it by refusing to comment on it, or if you're actively supporting it or actively fighting it.
And I remember during one of his interviews, because he had an interview show for a while, he literally asked, of all people, Ellen DeGeneres, also not a wonderful human and also largely apolitical because she's good friends with George W. Bush. But he was asked by her, he said, well, aren't you concerned about climate change? And his response was, I don't know. He goes, every generation has their thing. Ours was Vietnam. Our kids' generation, their thing is climate change that they'll deal with.
Also, the multiple
death
wars,
of humanity.
War on terror, on top of climate change, not being able to afford a one-bedroom apartment anywhere in the United States if you make minimum wage. The potential of being kidnapped and disappeared by the government if they don't like you.
We only have 3 more hours, so you got to speed up the list.
Sorry. Oh, ... I'll ellipses that list. So the thing for our generation. Yeah. Cute.
All right. I am going to do an extra segment for all of the members at Locals.
Well, because it transmits into the microphone, and then they hear.
It shows my enthusiasm.
Would you stop?
Enthusiasm.
Yeah, but
they can feel it. They can feel it through the microphone and the table.
That's not how that works.
Enthusiasm is all in it. Yeah.
So you're enthusiastic about this, but not your panel on October 9th. I see how that works.
I'm going to go do an extra segment for those of you at Locals right now, but all of you could be there because I'm offering a free month. So go to leecamp.net, scroll down to become a supporter. When you're checking out, put in promo code LeeCamp free. LeeCamp free, all caps, one word, and that'll get you a month free as well as my newer ebook. And I hope you'll do that so everybody at Locals, stay there. Nothing changes for you. For the rest of you, me and Eleanor are saying farewell. Anything I forgot?
No, somebody mentioned the Samud flotilla. Yeah, do keep your eyes out on that. They are nearing Gaza.
Yeah, and I didn't hear. So I have not yet figured out for the boat that was hit by the bomb dropped by the drone, which was Greta Thunberg's boat. Are
I don't
they?
think it's her boat.
Are they? No, it's the one she's on. Are they continuing, or do they have a new ship? Or
I'm assuming, because I saw a picture that they posted of them sitting on a boat. So if they didn't manage to fix that boat, they are on another boat.
Okay. But yeah, I'll keep bringing up updates about that as well. I will see you guys Monday, 3 p.m. By the way, you got to put it in your calendar because you won't get alerts. So just show up Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. And to everybody locals, I'll see you in 1 minute.
And to everyone listening to the Common Censored podcast, see you next week.
Yes, Common Censored podcast and Project Censored as well.
But they're not.